Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great time so far. Please take your seats as we are now starting our Signature Leaders panel. This insightful discussion will look at the industry from different angles, such as digitalisation, geopolitical, and regulatory effects, and key must know from the APAC region. Please welcome our moderator, Daniela Egli, Cyprus CEO and Group COO at Scaling, who will introduce her panel. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I hope everybody is enjoying the expo so far. We will start by asking the panelists to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the show. My name is Iskandar Najjar. I'm the founder and CEO of Equiti Group. We're a financial brokerage house focused on multi-asset solutions. We built some of our own technology as well. We're touching into the crypto space and digital asset space as well. We're globally regulated all the way from Europe through to the Middle East and Africa. And we're also looking at regulation in Asia in the near future.
Thank you.
Sawadee krap, everyone. Hi, my name is Mario. I'm the founder and chairman of Fullerton Markets, one of Asia's fastest growing brokerage firms. Like Iskandar, we are also a multi-asset brokerage, so we have currencies, stocks, crypto indexes, bullion, and the like. On my spare time, I'm an author. I've written 4 books, so that keeps me busy. We've got quite a large presence here in Thailand. Really excited to be with my industry peers here on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff. I'm from ATFX. I'm the CEO of ATFX of Southeast Asia. Thank you. Thank you for joining this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex?
Good morning. Alex Mackinnon from Finalto Group. I'm the CEO of Asia. We're a multi-asset broker along with some technology stacks that we have. We're predominantly B2B and cover the products that Mario and Iskandar have mentioned, and it's great to be here.
Thank you.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ben from Swissquote Asia. So I'm based in Hong Kong, and for Swissquote, we are a bank licensed in Switzerland. So for us in Hong Kong, we mainly provide FX solutions. So I hope that we can have a nice discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Very impressive backgrounds, and we look forward to your insights on the following topics. The first topic that we want to discuss is the challenges that you've experienced in the last 2 to 3 years. We've experienced a lot of socio-economic events that had a great impact on our sector. So what were the challenges that you were experiencing pre-pandemic, and how did these change during the pandemic and after the pandemic? And do you think these challenges were different for different regions, such as Asia versus Europe? Iskandar?
I mean, the challenges pre-pandemic is the world has changed and so dramatically since then. You tend to forget what the world was like. The world is changing on a quarterly basis, you feel, in terms of how you need to manage culture, you need to manage awareness, you need to manage your organization and strategy as well. So I'd focus on pandemic and how we've realized that we can adapt to work from home, we can adapt to remote working and really evolve as an organization despite being restricted within the space and the geographies that you're based in, which allowed companies such as ourselves to be more encouraged to be able to look at geographic expansion in a more progressive and active manner. Post-pandemic, it's been a challenge of a balance between work from home and work from office. Different geographies, different regions have adapted in different ways. And it's about managing the organization in sync as best as you can. We're an organization of 500 people. We're distributed across 14 countries. And it's different cultures and different mindsets towards work from home and work from office cultures. And you try to build a unified culture within an organization, always emphasizing with the vision and the strategy. And it's been adapting to that. Now, technologically speaking, there's been so many solutions that have advanced far more drastically than ever before. Cloud solutions and a huge wave of new investors coming through the trading world. You know, trading has very much become a lifestyle and not far more than it has ever before. The average age of investors has dropped drastically. It's become, and it's about us as a brokerage adapting our solutions, adapting our messages towards our underlying client base, which has grown significantly on the post-pandemic. People working from home, investing from home, and that trend has continued over the last years.
Thank you very much. Mario?
Yeah, I actually called it a perfect storm, you know, in the last couple of years because of the pandemic, right? What I mean by the perfect storm, the dual twin towers as in number one, where the governments were pumping the billions of dollars to obviously prop up their economy. And as we all know, whenever all this cheap money flows throughout the system, it inevitably finds its way into the financial markets, right? Whether it's the crypto markets, the currency markets, the stock market. So with that kind of volatility, it obviously helped all those who are in the brokerage space. So that was number one. Number two, again, because of the pandemic, more people spend more time at home. Your work from home, your stay-at-home measures, more people had time on their screens. So that was a perfect storm. That was good. What it did expose a bit of weakness on our side, and I don't mind sharing that for transparency, is because many of our relationships were primarily offline, on-site, so to speak. And that is the way we do business here in Asia, right? Most people are more just relational as opposed to being transactional first. So relationship building first. So when I say expose a little bit of flaw on our side, when more people went online, although it did boost the business, what it did expose a bit of the flaw was that were we technologically ready in terms of the products and services to help them scale their business? So happy to report that that has obviously been taken care of. So post-pandemic, we are obviously in a position to not just scale our relationships on an on-site way, but obviously in an online way as well.
Thank you, Mario. Good insight on the difference between Europe and Asia, that in Asia it's more relational than in Europe. That's a very good insight. Yes?
Okay, since 2020, the COVID-19 spread out very quickly. But I think luckily, our business industry is not unlike others. For example, our company, we increased our trading volume 3 times than it was before. So we have to focus on our technology, on helping with our client to do the online trading. For example, to have the increase the security level of our clients' data, their information, and of course we try to enhance our transparent market execution power and the speed of the execution, the tradings. So that's what we do in the past 3 years, and we are still trying to improve our client to help them to get into this trading business more quickly than it was before. So that's what we do, and we have a 24 hours daily IT team to help to develop or keep developing and trying to solve the problem or some difficulty our client might encounter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Alex?
Yeah, I think, as Mario said, Asia is a very different place in how we interact with our customers. Finalto Asia, Singapore, we received our MAS approval in December of 2019, and then the perfect storm happened, which wasn't really ideal for us because it basically closed off client interactions throughout Southeast Asia. And being a B2B broker or a liquidity provider to the market, to generate new business, it was quite hard. But from a human resources point of view, as Iskandar said, I mean, it showed us that our people can work from home. We changed our working styles. Did we become more productive? I think we did, because we worked probably 24 hours a day, but worked efficiently in 2-hour slots, because we are in a 24-hour business. So From us, it was a good experience, but we're very happy that Singapore's opened its doors and hopefully soon Hong Kong as well, and we can get back to business. I mean, it's been a dramatic change since the flights have started opening up again, and business is definitely moving here in Southeast Asia. It's been great.
Thank you. Benjamin?
Yep. Well, I think a lot of speakers mentioned about the technological development since the pandemic. I think technologically, it has been advanced a lot. So someone mentioned that you don't have to be limited to a specific place for meeting, so you can work from everywhere. I think that's the development since the pandemic. But I fully agree with Mario, because the Swissquote Asia, we target mainly Asian region. Obviously, for the bank, Swissquote, we target all over the world. But for my office, we mainly target Asia. And since pandemic, and even still right now, we cannot physically meet our client. You could, but you have to subject to the strict quarantine, especially, say, for example, I'm from Hong Kong. And this time when I go back, I'm a little bit lucky that I just quarantined for 3 days. Before that, it was like 7 days or even 14 days. So, I mean, the problem, if I could say it's a problem, after the pandemic or since COVID, is about the physical barrier becomes very difficult, especially in Asia. The culture is that we have to see the people, we have to meet the people physically. And but again, clients, they still get used to meeting online, but I mean, still not the mainstream of a culture in Asia. Yeah.
Do you think that will change going forward?
What kind? You mean the quarantine policy or what? Well, I think clients, they more get used to this kind of virtual meeting, but still, as Mario mentioned, the relationship, the trust, especially in Asia, is actually building by getting in touch with someone else. Maybe in Europe, since like many years, people start very familiar with this kind of a virtual meeting, but in Asia, I think it will take time. People will get used to that, but probably it will take another 2-3 years to get used to this method.
Thank you very much. Somebody mentioned volatility earlier and how volatility had a huge impact on our sector. I think mostly in a good way because they brought larger volumes for the brokers and profits and growth. But what happens when volatility dries up? How can brokers be prepared for such a scenario? Iskandar?
Yeah, as you've mentioned, volatility has been there and it continues to be in the markets, as we've seen as recently as yesterday. What we've evolved, and I think a lot of brokers similar to ourselves have evolved to become multi-asset solution based. Where previously we were focused on margin trading products, and we are evolving to more investment trading products, more long-term solutions. So we're looking at DMA solutions, futures, options, wider cryptocurrency solutions as well. I think we have around 80 margin-based crypto solution offerings. But something that's really ignited our interest is blockchain technology and the work that can be done around that. So we're working a lot of digital asset based projects, touching into our world and outside of our world in different dimensions as well. So definitely there's been significant interest. The space has evolved in the digital asset space. I'm based in the UAE, which has been a pioneer in legislation within that space. So my perfect answer would be expansion in terms of product offerings. There's a much larger client base who has an interest in trading. Today it's margin. Their appetite is only growing and the share of wallet is only growing for us to be able to service. And digital asset in a separate sphere entirely as well.
Thank you.
The question on volatility, the good news is I don't think it's going to dry up. I mean, for those of us who are watching the markets last night, right, they all see the huge drop. All the US indexes dropped, right? Dow dropped 1,005 because of some inflation report. So from a volatility perspective, I don't think it is going to disappear anytime soon, especially with all the kind of problems that we are seeing reverberating throughout the entire world. That's point one, which I think works in all of our favor in terms of having volatility in the markets. But having said that, right, now segue into, for brokerage firms, I always say the ethos of our firm, in fact, I dare say it for all firms, it's always about finding more, funding more, and trading more. This is kind of like the ethos of all brokerage firms, right? That's how we make money. Find more, fund more, trade more. I put it into, I call this the content. So if you look at like a glass of water, right? That's the content. You got to find more, fund more, trade more. But now, in terms of what brokerages need to be holding that content, is more the context of it, which is in essence the cup. So what are we all building in this ecosystem to hold that content? And I dare say, you know, some of the answers would be, number one, branding. I think that's important. How else would you be standing out away from the crowd? And then more importantly, number two, relationships. Relationships are a bit more of the long game, yeah, because it's not about, you know, getting a client for one time. We want to build sustainable relationships, which is really one of the core values of our company. Sustainability is a big core value for us. So we invest heavily in relationships, and I think that's something that we will continue to do in the long term, regardless whether there is volatility or not.
Thank you very much. Jeff?
Okay, well, we are continuously evolving our technology to serve our client to have a strong, simple KYC and simple onboarding process. Powerful, simple to use trading technology like we have back-tested and well-proven indicators and trading signals indicators for our customer to use. That's what we are doing to try to face this situation when it drives up. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Alex?
Volatility brings credit and risk issues with it. So looking at it from a B2B point of view, again, what we've evolved is we've listened to our customers. We hear they need a little bit more, you know, temporary credit, or can we widen this? Can we do that? So we've listened to them. We've moved our parameters around to help people protect themselves. I think that comes down to regulations as well around the world. And as we've seen during COVID, ASIC changed their leverage rules, which affected the market dramatically there. So for us, the volatility is great, but it also brings risks. We try and mitigate those risks for ourselves and our clients. So, you know, it's, for us, if it evolves to a lower volatility market, I think we're still very well prepared because our customers are more, they're institutional. So, you know, it's less about funding and finding, et cetera, to Mario's business model. So, you know, for us, volatility is good, more transactions, but that does bring bigger risks to it.
Thank you for bringing up the risk aspect, especially in a world where we see such events as the GameStop saga, where traders just hammer one asset only. Risk is a very important factor of that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that brings in another topic, because I think we've all been on planes, well, most of us, and HBO have a series on it, because we definitely did on Emirates Airline. So, you know, it's interesting how that's coming into the mainstream, and that saga's, you know, already on TV.
Thank you. Benjamin?
Well, I mean, first of all, regarding the dry up of the volatility, I mean, for Swissquote, we are not facing, or we don't see that as a very big issue to us, because as a bank, it should not be a big problem to us. But I mean, generally speaking, I mean, to expand the asset classes to client, to expand the product range, could be the option to face or to solve this issue if that really happens. So I mean, again, expanding the products could be the option. That, yeah.
Yeah, Alex?
Well, I think it brings on technology as well. I mean, how we're going, will the market go 24/7? We're definitely, you know, going that way with crypto, and Iskandar Group's got a very good product there, and you know, you're 24/7 there as well. That brings in different types of risk. It's manpower risk, it's technology risk. So, you know, COVID's made us move, you know, 10 years faster than where we probably would have been without it.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of risks and technology, I think we've seen a lot of threats, cybersecurity threats that brokers have experienced in the last few years, with everyone going remote, using technology, operating online most of the time. So have you experienced a lot of cybersecurity threats, and how did you manage to mitigate these risks? Iskandar?
I mean, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, that's increased. Our industry is definitely highly targeted because of the nature of our business, and it comes in different approaches. You know, it can come directly through Trojan attacks onto your individual clients, or advanced persistent threats onto your systems as well. And yes, it's about being prepared. You can invest in as much as you can, technologically speaking, but what's most important is a more holistic approach to that. And it's really ensuring that your operation systems, your team is highly educated. There's phishing attacks happening continuously, and they're only increasing with time. So you have to ensure that not just the tech team is well aware of it and prepared for it, but everyone who has a touch point within the organization is very well prepared as well. You can build the right protections, technically speaking, but it's all about education, in my opinion, and ensuring that everyone within the organization, from the most junior employee to most senior, is well versed with the threats and has the direct communication and structure approach to managing any concerns.
I think for most of us, we definitely will take cybersecurity threats very, very seriously. I think most of us have all these stuff in place, right? But one little nuance that we have in our firm is like when things go down, when you have phishing attacks, or when something happens, right? What then is our recovery process? So we've got a way of like measuring the downtime, so to speak, in whatever department that may be in, whether it's in the tech side, the compliance side, so on and so forth. Because we're big believers in what you cannot measure, you can't manage, right? So, and it's always the case, when something goes down, people tend to get flustered, even though all the SOPs are in place. So every once in a while, we try to have one of these dry run, so to speak, so that to ensure that whenever we get back up, the timing kind of considerably comes down in terms of how we are managing these threats and these attacks.
Thank you. Jeff?
We monitoring this kind of situation 24 hours every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex?
Yeah, I think the regulators should probably push a bit harder on our the cybersecurity side of things. I know MAS are quite proactive in that. They have a very deep guideline. They call it the TRM, Technology Risk Management. And as Iskandar said, it's involved by senior people all the way down, security. So, we're in a business that we're constantly getting, phishing scams and like that, but we're all protected to there. But we just got to keep improving and keep ahead of the smart kids trying to do it to us.
Thank you, Alex.
Well, I mean, for the cybersecurity issue, I think I'm not a tech person, but I know that's an issue. And but do I have any solution? Because I'm not a tech person, I don't have any solution. But I mean, for Swissquote, I think I believe that we have a strong IT team to prepare ahead, to invest in the system to avoid this kind of threat or even the real issue. And I think one key point is to educate the whole team. No, it's not just an IT issue, but everyone from the company has to get prepared and how to avoid that. So in addition to not just investing in the system, but also mentally to educate, or practically to educate everyone in the company to avoid that.
Thank you very much, everyone. Speaking of technology, social media and mobile are two of the mainstream acquisition channels nowadays. Are there new frontiers for client acquisition, and what would there be? And are there new opportunities for that? Iskandar?
I mean, social media has definitely evolved. The avenues and the platforms have only grown, especially over the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, I thought I was quite heavily integrated, and then I realized I'm very, very far behind with all of the social media platforms out there. I think in speaking to the marketing team, it's about efficiency of conversions, efficiency of our spends, and the tracking of our spends. So ensuring that the data architecture behind our models are in tune to be able to target the right audiences with the right messaging and the right time. So it's not a new avenue. Definitely offline mediums are still something that we focus our branding exercises on. But in terms of client acquisitions, definitely the digital marketing space. And what we've heavily invested into is more deeper integration into the efficiencies of our spend in terms of targeting, retargeting our clients, ensuring that we're speaking to the right audiences, and ensuring that we're delivering the right messages as well. And it's just a constant exercise where you have your AIs constantly reading, evolving, and increasing in terms of efficiency.
Thank you.
So here's how I think about it in terms of client acquisition. In the way our company projects it, there's three main areas, right? So there's the demographic side of it, there's the geographic side of it, there's the psychographic side of it. Now, in terms of geographic, so let's just say in Thailand, we've got to be absolutely clear what the Thai clients want. It's going to be markedly different than what clients in, let's just say, Indonesia or in Vietnam want, right? So in terms of geographic segmentation, that's important. In terms of the demographic, again, when you drill it deep in terms of their gender, in terms of their age, in terms of their income levels, again, it's different. So we've got a whole team that actually does all these statistics in terms of the demographic. And then finally, which is the hardest one, the way we look at it, right, the psychographic side of it. So what is the psychographic? Meaning to say, every certain individual comes with a certain worldview, right? Everyone comes with certain values, beliefs, that's just different. And certain things about the company may call out to one client, but the other client couldn't care less about what we offer. So it's really about market segmentation in all these three areas, and I think analytics are really important. The further we want to go and the bigger we want to scale, market segmentation in terms of geographic, demographic, and psychographic, absolutely important for client acquisition.
Thank you very much. Alex?
I'm probably the worst one to speak to on this because we're very much B2B, so we're very traditional. We are moving into the social media world, but that's predominantly through LinkedIn because we're specifically targeting, institutions and regulated entities. So, are we doing more than we did before COVID? Absolutely. It's now just coming down to the efficiencies of conversions, which is what we're working very hard on.
Thank you very much. Benjamin?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the industry that highly rely on online marketing. So social media is the best tool to approach our clients. And for Swissquote, obviously, all the traditional type of social media, we have our exposure on that. And in addition to that, so say for Swissquote, before that we sponsor Manchester United. And since last year, we start sponsoring the Europa League and Conference League. So we leverage on this kind of marketing or this kind of sponsorship to target or to approach an additional group of clients. They might not be our first, they might not be the first group that we consider, but because they may be a soccer fans, maybe they got attention about the league, then we could rely on this kind of sponsorship to target another group of segment.
And just to add on that as well, I think what had been mentioned earlier on the panel, it's that face-to-face communication as well. I mean, we're based heavily in the Middle East, we're in Africa as well, and face-to-face is very important. And I think we've seen that with our time in Asia and our expansion plans into Asia as well. So yes, social media, the digital frontier is definitely the client knocking on the door, but then you have to follow it up with further exercises, seminars, and face-to-face interactions with them, and the branding exercises similar to what Swissquote have done to emphasize that credibility. But face-to-face is key in these markets. Very different from Europe and the client, the strategies around client acquisitions in those markets.
Yeah, makes sense. One topic that we want to discuss today is crypto. Obviously, it's something that has really affected our industry. How do we navigate the crypto downturn? What are the strategies that we are employing in order to navigate through that? And are we placing our bets on something new? Iskandar?
Yeah, cryptos is definitely going through a dip, but most asset classes do. They go through peaks and troughs. And it's not the first, and I don't think it'll be the last either. You know, crypto in the last 24 months has really made a lot of noise in global markets. It's grabbed a lot of attention. And most importantly, it's grabbed a lot of the attention of the regulators and the importance of drafting legislation around that. So, in my opinion, it's far from the end. It's only just the beginning and part of the life cycle of this asset class in particular, which will evolve in line with many other asset classes. The question is, how will it be regulated? How will it be managed? And you have different governments looking at things in different ways. The UAE has been quite hands-on in their approach. They recently established the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, which is VARA. And I think they've granted licenses to 50 MVPs to really launch products and study how legislation and regulation is working with this space. The importance of regulation is to ensure it doesn't hinder on innovation, because that has been the question mark. Can that space be regulated without hindering innovation? And they're trying to find that balanced solution. We've been pioneers as well in building and being founding members of the Dubai Digital Asset Association as well. So that's been a private forum that has, it's an association that's open to everyone to participate in, but really become a public forum to have direct communication with the government on all aspects of the business, not only legislation, but definitely legislation is key in that space right now.
Thank you.
I look at it from the macro and micro level. Let me explain. So I think crypto is fantastic from the perspective of, you know, it's part of that entire ecosystem of blockchain, of Web3 and all that, right? From a space of the culture of innovation and enterprise, I think that's good, yeah? Now, in terms of it affecting people, I think tons of people were affected by market downturns, by the fall of Luna, stuff like that. And the primary reason is, again, because the depth of the capital markets is just not big enough. And that's why when downturns happen, it's huge swings, people can lose their entire life savings, right? So that's on macro level. Still a lot needs to be done, but that silver lining, that rainbow in the clouds, is always the culture of innovation and enterprise. From a micro level, meaning to say, where are the opportunities, all right, if crypto is down? Well, opportunities are literally abundantly available every single place. Micro level meaning to say, today, if it's about driving volumes on a brokerage firm perspective, then it's about trading currencies, right? So we can always move from one asset class to the next. If this is down, what is the asset class that is up? The US dollar has been flying, you know, for the last 1 year simply because the Fed is just raising and going to continue raising interest rates. So the way I looked at that question, Daniela, was macro, micro. Macro, very good. Culture of innovation, enterprise, expanding and deepening the ecosystem. From a micro level, this is again for the top executives to ensure that if one asset class is down, there are obviously opportunities in other asset classes to go and find more, fund more, and trade more.
Thank you, Mario. Jeff?
I think the crazy time of the cryptocurrency is passing. And people getting more calm down than it was before. But my opinion is I think we should focus on the cryptocurrency like USDT, more stable, because this kind of cryptocurrency will change our life daily by daily and without any attention. It's like very naturally. So we can focus on this part and do things maybe beyond our imaginations. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Alex?
Well, I think cryptocurrencies are obviously here to stay, but I think from a operational point of view, there's still a lot of work to be done in the back end, and that's how people can exchange their coins or assets between different exchanges. And, you know, it's kind of like where margin foreign exchange was 25, 30 years ago, where we had direct lines with everybody before PBs. So that credit and risk counterparty risk is, you know, very important. We still see exchanges going into trouble and, going into bankruptcy, protection in the US, etc. So it's really how do we make it, how does it become more mainstream and we can net down across exchanges? That's still to come, and that's probably some years away. But I think once that happens, I think you'll see, the asset class continue to grow.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, for Swissquote is actually the first European bank that offered cryptocurrency back to 5 years ago, if I remember correctly. So we understood that cryptocurrency is very important, or is a new trend of a product in the future. And what happens right now, the crypto winter or the downturn, I think from another angle to look at that is actually a good timing for people to think about this product, to get saturated. Because for the last 2 years, cryptocurrency doing so well. But if you ask the clients, what is cryptocurrency? Probably 50% of them didn't know what is cryptocurrency. And but now, when the market is having a little bit downturn, I think no matter it's for the clients or for the service provider, we have to think clearly what we are going to provide and what the investor they are actually looking for. In the past, obviously, all investors, they want to make money, make profit. But how are they going to make profit from this new product? I mean, right now is a good timing, as I said, to get saturated and then to think what we have to provide. So I think this kind of a downturn is probably just, or I hope it's just a short term, maybe another year, next year, it could, when people get educated or the technology get more advanced, then, and also the market situation get better, then it will, bounce back.
Yeah, I think on that point as well, what I mentioned earlier is regulation. As it becomes a little bit more restrictive, you'll start to find institutional tickets participating. There is an appetite. They have started to move into that space. But then when you'll start to start bigger tickets, greater liquidity, less volatility in those markets.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the regulation aspect. I think it's something that we definitely need to touch on. How do you think regulation in general, not only related to cryptos, will affect our sector going forward? And are the regulation constraints different in Asia compared to other regions? Maybe Benjamin.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to start this topic, because we are regulated. Sometimes when we face the regulators, we are. I don't mean that I don't like the regulator, but first of all, I have to say that we know it has to be regulated. So we talk about cryptocurrency, and I forgot to mention the point is, like 2 years ago, almost no regulators were regulating cryptocurrency. That's why the market went crazy. But after that, the regulators start regulating a particular product, for example, cryptocurrency. Then the market become more organized, become more structured. So what I wanted to say was, I think regulation is very important, and particularly in those advanced markets, for example, Hong Kong, Singapore, for example, in Asia, and Japan, South Korea, all these markets, we got a very good regulation. And I think that's give a protection to clients. They know how to choose which brokers or which company that they could trust. And that's why a lot of company, we can see that they are trying to go to, for example, Singapore, even Hong Kong, to get a license, and obviously other European countries as well, because they know that this is important to the clients. And from now, we can see no matter where are the regulators, we can see the regulators are regulating more, and to think from the perspective of clients, from clients' perspective, instead of just to grow the market. So I think that's good for everyone, good for the clients particularly.
Thank you. Alex?
Look, I think in Asia, we have a unique situation compared to, say, Europe, where there's 20 plus countries here with all separate regulations. Unlike Europe, where you're passporting around the 20 odd countries. So from our point here sitting out in Asia, that's the hardest thing to control. Where do you get regulated? How many places do you get regulated? And every single country is different rules for retail to institutional. or accredited investors. So that's probably the biggest problem facing us here in Asia is there's not a uniform regulation across the ASEAN countries. How we go about getting that to happen, it's going to be a lot of politics and a lot of hard work there, but I think that's probably the hardest thing in Asia to navigate is the separate regulations per country.
Do you feel like regulators in Asia start copying each other maybe and bringing in some aspects of regulations from other regions?
I think they're obviously always talking to each other. I know they brought in some passporting on the fund management side, but that's for accredited or institutional investors, and you can, if you've got 500 million under management, you can go sell in different countries, but that's not our business. But if that's the start of it, great. I think it'll take a long time for us to get down to our business to have a uniform regulation, but as the business grows, and it's not just foreign exchange now, it's leveraged equities, it's leveraged cryptos, it is the whole financial markets. But hopefully will come, but I think that's the hardest thing for us to navigate in this world. Singapore's different to Indonesia, Indonesia's different to Australia, and Hong Kong, is very different again.
Thank you. Mario?
Yeah, sure. So is regulation a good thing? The answer is yes, right? So it obviously gives you a certain framework on which you can operate in. I've got two minds here, right? So just hear me out a little bit. Now, it's good from a perspective that it brings up certain standards. It is bad from the perspective of the culture of innovation and enterprise again. Because think about it, right? If you want to push boundaries and you want to move ahead, how in the world are we supposed to be moving when you're just caught within this box of rules and regulations? So I think this is where regulators, and Alex is right, that they are all talking to each other. That's number one. And I know for a fact that some of them are also having closed-door meetings with many of these people in the fintech space just to get a sense of it, right? So MAS, as an example in Singapore, what they have something called a regulatory sandbox, whereby if it's something new, you're allowed to test it within certain boundaries before it becomes enacted into law. So I think regulators definitely have their space. It is absolutely important. If not, you don't know who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. But it's got to be a certain way in which they can navigate so that they don't constrict the entrepreneurs who are always there pushing the boundaries, who are always trying to be in that space of innovation and enterprise, because that is about the only thing that's going to be pushing not just industries forward, literally countries. I'll share with you a quick anecdote, okay? A quick story. I just read this recently. If you look at the past empires of the last 500 to 1,000 years, none of them have actually kind of lasted more than 250 years. The Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, British Empire now coming to about 250 years. None of them have. And the main reason is because there's something about success that breeds failure, right? There's something about success that breeds failure. People get comfortable. People get complacent. So what is really going to help not just our space, in literally any space, is again for us to be rooted in the culture of innovation and enterprise, because that is really the only hope any of us have.
Thank you very much. Yes, Iskandar?
In our part, definitely, it's finding a balance between regulation and innovation, but we regulated in, I think, 7 different jurisdictions globally. And what we have seen, and part of our strategy from day one, was localization. So yes, we are an e-commerce business, we are a global platform, but the more you can localize your messaging, the more you can localize your product, the more you'll be able to kind of get greater depth of penetration within those markets. So there is a cost to it, there's an operational cost to it, there's capital requirements feeding into that, but the more that we have the capacity to localize and look for certain local regulation, the greater you're able to really evolve and develop that product in a local way. So it's about having your infrastructure, your organizational structure able to support that, because your project management teams will have to rank projects and manage projects accordingly. But definitely the appetite for is there. We are still a young industry. We're only, 20, 25 years old. So I see that wave evolving. So most of us will start to have multiple licenses on a global level and adapt our products to local exchanges as well as our existing product offerings today.
Probably that events like GameStop saga would also be affected by increasing regulations. I think regulators are keeping a strict eye on that and trying to come up with some mitigating strategies for such events in the future. Thank you, everyone, for today. It was great having you on the panel. I hope everybody here had an insightful conversation with our panelists, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
Daniela.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.